Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome to a truly special online event today. It's called Explore the Architecture of Consciousness with Sound. Reveal new pathways to healing, coherence, and expanded awareness through sound and biology. My name is Stephen Dinan. I'm the founder and president of the Shift Network, and I love learning right alongside with you. And today we're going to get to learn from a true master in the field of sound healing and the science of sound. His name is Dr. Jeffrey Thompson. He's a physician, he's a musician, and founder and director of the Center for Neuroacoustic Research. He's really been advancing the frontiers of understanding how sound and our consciousness interplay in a way that leads to healing, evolution, and really new vistas of understanding reality itself. So, if you're excited by today, as I'm sure you will be, we actually have a brand new training with Dr. Jeff that's launching called Quantum Acoustics and the Architecture of Reality. It's going to be a very deep dive, very cool subjects. We'll share more about that towards the end of the hour. So, Jeffrey, good to see you again.
Oh, it's great to be back here with you. I love
Well,
our discussions.
I love them too. So let's dive in. I know you've done a few different personal backstories, but I think maybe it'd be a different flavor today about how you really got intrigued with how sound and the journey with sound could reveal deeper dimensions of the architecture of consciousness.
Yeah, my work with sound. I'm a musician and a composer. I've got albums. At a critical point in my life, when I was in practice, clinical practice, somehow it all, you know how it is, it all kind of folds up together, and the next thing you know, I'm using sound frequencies in healing. And then that changed my brain with how I compose music, and that became the advent of the use of binaural beats and 3D and all these other kind of technologies for changing states of consciousness. Um, at the core of all of that is the awakening experience to, and then that brings us back to the history of sound, all the way back to prehistory. Humans have been using sound for that purpose, for healing and to wake up, to reveal, to center, to open. And the deeper you dive into understanding how they use those tools, the more you begin to understand how you can take those principles with the new technologies we have of the 21st century, high-tech keyboards and high-tech binaural beats and 3D soundtracks and all the rest of these amazing kind of tools, and amp it all up into a new 21st century version of the ancient.
Mm.
Um, that becomes unbelievably powerful. And aside from that, you can measure what's going on. You can tune these technologies to brainwaves with EEG and to autonomic central nervous system control systems, the sympathetic, parasympathetic, and you can see it on a computer screen. So you can tune frequencies down in a way that's never been possible before and direct the use of sound that in the past was observation and intuition, and now is observation and technology observation. It gives us new tools to really evolve the use of sound for, pretty much why we would be tuning into this course
Hmm.
or any course that you guys offer in the Shift Network, which
Yeah.
people are driven because we want to know the secrets of how this all works. And someplace in that secret is how I can use reality as a tool to align myself.
Hmm. Well, let's talk a little bit more about that. So, I mean, I think a lot of people are used to this thinking of sound as something beautiful that's coming from the outside, but there's a more fundamental level that really sound is kind of shaping our whole body mind, and maybe share a little bit more about that and how we can then up level it with technology and specifics to like kind of program ourselves for a higher level of functioning.
all the processes that are going on in each one of us, our physical bodies, are rhythmic oscillations. There's rhythmic oscillations of brain waves. There's rhythmic oscillations of chi flow, rhythmic oscillations of my heart beating and the expansion and contraction of all the arteries in my body. There's this rhythmic thing that's constantly always going on. That lends itself to us timing our rhythms organically with the rhythms that are constantly going on in nature. So we're essentially under the hood, automatically dancing with nature. We're matching our rhythmic bodies to nature's rhythmic influences, whether it's light, day length, moon phases, crickets, bird chirps. You know, crickets, I'm sitting in my backyard last night, just listening. And there's these crickets going. And I'm timing the cricket chirps. It's one chirp, two chirps a second. So it's a delta brainwave pattern that I'm being entrained to just by sitting in my backyard listening to a cricket. If I go out in nature and I listen to the birds chirping, they're chirping at brainwave rhythms as well. We're not even talking about setting your body thermostat to the length of the day or your ovulation cycle to the phase of the moon or any of the big ones that we sort of know about. Our biofield extends out 6 feet from the heart field, the biggest electromagnetic generator in your body. And if you and I are within 6 feet of each other, our electromagnetic fields are actually synchronizing up because they're mingling. And that's what the body does. Anytime you shake hands with somebody and your nervous system's now connected by a modem of electromagnetic conductivity of your skin. And if you stayed that way long enough, your heart rate and respiration and brain waves will all start to synchronize. So what does that say about a group of people who are meditating together holding hands? Or what does that say about the fact that we can hook you up to a sophisticated HRV system and measure the group autonomic nervous system response or a group brainwave entrainment that we can see the brainwaves of everybody's brains synchronizing up together to the same external binaural beat pulse. That so that all of a sudden we have a sort of a new concept and understanding about what it might mean to have a circle of healing.
Mm-hmm.
One person in the center that everybody is synchronizing up and magnifying a field of energy that's larger than any person.
Mm-hmm.
Or for
So,
meditating.
yeah, so that's an interesting example. So if you have one person who's at a certain stable frequency, you can shift the whole group into that, or does it sort of tend to gravitate towards whatever the predominant pattern is?
If you get a group of people together and they all hold hands, then everybody's going to synchronize. And the process is similar to what happens if everybody does an Om chant together. So everybody starts singing, and the first few seconds is sort of cacophonic because nobody's singing the same notes, and the group starts to somehow find its voice and center itself on a single note. That is a coupled oscillator network in action. It's the same thing that happens when that group of people holds hands, is that everybody's brain waves and heart rate and respirations are all going to start to synchronizing, but the same way. The group is finding its synchronized oscillation. And that oscillation is going to be a melding of everybody. Is going to be a common factor that the system centers itself to. And it's not any one of these people that the low are going to be brought up, the high are going to be brought down to some central place where everybody meets. And then once you reach that place, you have access to higher levels of experience and information and access to higher levels of influence on the universe itself.
Hmm. Why does that entrainment just happen naturally like that without people even consciously intending to do it?
Because everything in the universe dances together automatically.
Hmm.
And why? Because it saves energy. And the universe is an ecological system, always trying to get the most work with the least amount of energy. And your body's the same way. All the systems in your body are striving to squeeze the last drop out of the turnip,
Hmm.
right? Except it's life energy. So, rule number one, survive at all costs. Rule number two, do no self harm. And within that law, I have to be as ecological as possible to save my life energy and get the most work out of it, because doing otherwise would be wasting life energy, and that's self-harm.
Wow. I'm glad I asked that because I never would have guessed that was the answer. That's
So you can use that because we're all under the hood striving to synchronize.
hmm
So if we can create an external cue to synchronize to that your body's always looking for, that's entrainment.
hmm
That's entrainment of my heart rate, of my brain waves, of my body processes. That's how brainwave entrainment works. And so now it's just a question of how sophisticated are you in creating that external cue to be the most effective that it can possibly be?
Hmm. It kind of brings up applications that really move beyond just even small groups to like whole societies. If you can sort of rhythmically entrain a society to that higher order pattern, it's like you can
It's the
really
concept.
dissipate.
There was the when I was going to chiropractic school in Iowa, 1978. 1 hour up the road was a Maharishi University. And Maharishi has this Maharishi effect thing that he came up with
Hmm.
that's based on the 100th monkey idea,
hmm
right? So you get the minimum quantum number of monkeys washing the sweet potato in water, washing the dirt off before they eat it. And once you get the minimum number on this one little island, all of a sudden, cabango, all monkeys on all islands that aren't connected at all start washing their potatoes. That principle, as far as what he said, is this: it's the square root of the it's 1% of the total population of Earth had to center themselves in the same concept of what reality looks like, and then that becomes so. Or the square root of 1%, which back in 1978, 7,000 people meditating for a week and changed accidents and stock market and uh, murders, and all these kind of statistics started to sort dramatically improve just because a minimum quantum number of people were together,
Hmm.
right?
For me, that it really, I've heard those studies and seen some of them before, but like the idea that somehow that's the more optimized energy state, so it's sort of easier to pull the surrounding areas toward it is actually makes it really more understandable why a small group of people could have a outsized effect on a large
But
collective.
now think if we have now we've got online. Here we all are, right? Like how many people are where is everybody who's watching right now from, and where are they sitting in front of their TV right now? It's like so there's people all over the world that can be connected now.
hmm
And we could play a soundtrack that has binaural beats in it that would entrain everybody's brainwaves to exactly the same place. So everybody's nervous systems are tuned to the same spot. And we've maximized with technology the Maharishi effect by putting sort of a lens on the camera because now everybody is scientifically on the same page. Now we're stacking the deck in our favor for the possibility of opening a doorway to higher dimensions of information and influence into the world.
Wow, it's really fascinating. So let's talk a little bit about the specificity that you've learned over time around how these kind of sound-based interventions can create these harmonics and kind of group fields and uh, brainwave entrainment and sort of what are those
Yeah.
interventions that allow us to entrain at that level?
So I'd say, so like step one, a bunch of people of like mind come together in a circle and meditate together for world peace. Step two, everybody is now coming together and meditating for world peace, but they've all got headphones on and they're listening to a binaural beat soundtrack that puts them into exactly the place where the brain goes when it exhibits empathy. So we fine-tuned it. Step three, we have a circle of people holding hands so that they're connected by a modem of electromagnetic conduction so that we're maximizing the couple oscillator synchronicity of their bodies, right? And then we split two people apart and we put an HRV sensor on one person's wrist and the other sensor on the other person's wrist. And to complete the connection has to go through all the bodies to complete the connection to see the sympathetic parasympathetic of the nervous system, the stress level of the group entity. Because it's a consensus of everybody's nervous system that's showing on the screen. It's the entity of this group. It's like the dinner party effect. You get six people at dinner and one person has to leave early. The atmosphere changes, the personality of the room changes, right? It's the same thing. You're now connecting people at another level and you can run sound frequencies until you can find a sound frequency that collapses the stress to zero. You just scientifically collapse the group into its zero stress zone, the real place you want to go if you try to really meditate, to open your doors to the universe because you feel safe. And now that group is going to chant that tone as an Om chant. And you're going to have headphones on with brainwave entrainment to that frequency or octaves of that frequency. Now we're getting to a new level of tuning groups together for the purpose of either healing or shifting the quantum field, which is how we can shift reality itself. The whole quantum effect of my expectation is what the universe delivers.
Hmm.
Our expectations as a group delivers the group experience that we're having in the world.
Hmm.
Right.
So getting people, so what are some of the specifics around getting people to that zero stress kind of openness to the field state?
Um, from my standpoint, that's the work that I did in 40 years of clinical practice with people. You can use a sophisticated medical monitor um, that's a real-time heart rate variability system that can show you, if you hook a person up, it can show you the sympathetic parasympathetic live on a computer screen. And we should be living in a place of zero stress where the sympathetic and the parasympathetic are zeroed out. Neither one of them is on. Sympathetic is not on, pulling all my energy to fight for my life. Parasympathetic is not on, pulling my energy to digest my food and eliminate toxins. If I'm not doing those two things, it should be zeroed out and the reservoir should be full. That's the state that's required for the internal management holistic physician program to come online and start working on a never-ending list of all the things that have to be balanced in my body and harmonized to keep me healthy. Right? However, if I get a whole series of traumas or my life is super stressful for too long, I get stuck in this sympathetic on all the time. I can't get out of it. That is medically recognized as the cause of disease. Stress is the cause of disease. And that's what they mean by that. It's the autonomic nervous system is permanently out of balance. The sympathetic is always on, always burning up my resources, kicking my adrenals, raise my blood pressure, and raises my blood sugar to fight for my life. Two biggest prescriptions in the whole Western world.
Hmm. And
Um,
this is not uncommon. This is probably the baseline for the vast majority of folks, it sounds like.
and the reason why the high blood pressure, for most cases, is running a sympathetic on all the time, which by definition raises your blood pressure to fight for your life.
Mhm.
So if you can come in with, so there's a sound that's highly precise that will push the reset button and cause the sympathetic to collapse back to this zero stress function called homeostasis and find that spot again. And since we don't know what that frequency is, I create a sine wave sweep of all frequencies. And as it's sweeping along, untuning through all these frequencies, it'll be coming into the zone that works for you, and you can watch the stress collapsing down to zero. And when it hits zero, the computer program is looking for that, pops up a display that says, here's the frequency that makes zero happen. And now you can use that therapeutically and retrain your system back to homeostasis until it can be stable enough to hold its own.
Hmm. How long does that take to typically to retrain to train your nervous system into that state and then keep it stabilized?
It we have is a program that lasts 16 weeks. So
Hmm.
I'd say the majority of people on the bell curve who've got an out of balance system and it hasn't gone far enough that it's dropped off the cliff into pathology, right? Then you can expect the system to be stable within that time. But if you've got pathology, then it's going to take longer
Hmm.
because now you've got rebuilding to do and you've got other things that have to happen in the system to right itself.
Hmm. When people have specific trauma that sort of like hasn't been digested, is kind of feeding into that system, is that continually activating the sympathetic overshoot like that?
That's part of it. So what's causing the autonomic nervous system to be stuck in the on position is excess levels of stress. So in medical terms, it's called allostatic load. Allostatic load is a measurement of um, how intact is my stress handling system to handle the stresses coming at me from all sources. Inner world, outer world. Outer world is the world situation and traffic jams and a stupid job and all the rest of those kind of things. Inner world is past traumas that have not been rectified, that are stuck in my subconscious mind, all of those kind of things.
Hmm.
Traumas that I've had, emotional traumas I've had, physical traumas I've had that I haven't been able to clear out. Um, this allostatic load is that as we grow older, we're exposed to more and more stresses. The game gets bigger, the stresses get bigger as we become more adults. And so what happens is the autonomic nervous system has to continually adapt to a higher level of stress and adapt to this new higher levels of stress and create a new set point of homeostasis. More stress, new set point. More stress, new set point. Sooner or later, for some people, if you hit the ceiling of how adaptable you can possibly be, and the stresses continue to get bigger, but you can't meet them anymore, you can't adapt anymore. That's called negative allostatic load. You can't adapt anymore. And the body is forced into a corner where its only option is to turn on the fight or flight response all the time. It's freaked out. I can't do this anymore. What am I going to do? I don't know what the answer to that is. So I've got this fight or flight thing going on all the time. And since it's all under the hood and we don't have a clue up here how this system works or what's going on down there, we don't really know it. We may see indicators because we can't sleep, we feel anxious, but we don't know why. We have high blood pressure that's starting to creep up, that body systems are starting to fall apart. I'm getting weird symptoms. And, because if the sympathetic is stuck on all the time, think about it, nobody's minding the store. Homeostasis is a prerequisite for the inner management program to come online and use that reservoir of energy to send signals out to all my systems and tell them what to do. So if that's diverted into fighting for my life all the time, it's not paying attention. So all my systems are drifting. And the more they drift, the more inefficient the system becomes until somebody drops off a cliff and I've got pathology.
Hmm. That makes a lot of sense. So I want to just explore a little bit more some of the interventions. So there you have the binaural beats and you've got certain kind of frequency pattern interventions. Maybe share a little bit about some of the categories of ways that you work to create the positive entrainment to get you out of some of those loops.
There's an interesting relationship that we discovered between this frequency that hits the reset button and returns everything back to baseline, so the systems can start working on its list again. Um, Now we're in the realm of acoustic physics. We know that if I ping the wine glass and sing that note, the wine glass is going to resonate. If I sing loud enough, it's going to shatter. But acoustic physics tells us that any octave of that tone is also going to make the wine glass vibrate. So if the wine glass vibrates at 100 hertz, then 200 and 400 and 800 also work, and 150 and 25, those also work, right? Um, Harmonics also work. So it's a law of octaves and harmonics. Same thing in the body. If I find a frequency of 200 hertz that returns your system to baseline, then I know that 100 hertz is going to work, and 50 hertz is going to work, and 400 hertz is going to work. And if I play any one of those independently, I can watch the screen and prove to myself that it does work. But according to acoustic physics, it doesn't stop anywhere. But once you calculate octaves down below the lowest range of hearing, 20 hertz, you still got numbers on your computer, and each one of those numbers is an octave. And those are brainwave frequencies that are precise to a few decimal points: beta, alpha, theta, delta, epsilon, gamma, default mode. All these different exotic brainwave frequencies now exist as precise frequencies accurate to a few decimal points that represent states of consciousness that, if I entrained you to any of those, would cause homeostasis at an autonomic nervous system level. And that means that we can direct where the healing is going to go. Healing in alpha sleep works on different systems in the body than healing in theta dreaming sleep. Dreaming sleep is emotional healing. Alpha sleep is self-talk, self-belief systems, self-defeating belief systems. Delta is physical recuperation. Now we can entrain you using this special frequency as an octave of that to pick the lock of neural programs. So that's basically that system I was doing clinically, is that I would find this frequency that balances the autonomic nervous system, calculate all the octaves, play the lower 5 octaves through your body through a sound chair to activate a whole different healing system, the vibrational sense network, and calculate all the lower octaves as brainwave frequencies, and use brainwave entrainment to entrain you to each and every one of those in turn with a separate soundtrack. So that we're sort of unlocking every single program and making it run until it's clean. We're going through a methodical process of retuning every system in the body that we can locate. Knowing that whoever you've gone to in the past as a healer has never done that, has never given you a master tune-up,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's taking your car in and getting not what's wrong with your car, but I want you to go through everything, every nut and bolt of that car, and I want you to make sure everything is perfect and tight and perfect with the torque wrench. And I want the tune-up to be the master tune-up. I want you to detail the car inside and out, in the engine, in the spark plugs. I want the whole thing, stem to stern, to be detailed. When was the last time you ever had that done with your own body, right? Or your own
Sounds
brain?
like that may be in the future of what we're heading towards is the master tune-up of our whole system, huh?
Master tune-up. It's like I say yes, I want that. Something
Well,
happens when you do that, though, because when you're on this sound chair with the vibrations coming through your body, and particularly you've got the sound chair designed properly so it's split down the middle with right-left stereo separation that matches your headphones. When you use binaural beats to entrain your brainwaves to some state with headphones, causes a new phenomenon. That's synchronization of the hemispheres. Your hemispheres synchronize, neural pathways synchronize up. And the brain is always trying to do that kind of synchronization in its body system to save energy, to obey the universal law number 2. do no self-harm, right? Remember that?
Hmm.
So if I can help your body do that, your body rewards itself whenever it achieves a new level of hyperfunction. Whenever it can hyper obey rule number two and do it better, then you get rewards like dopamine and serotonin and the feel good hormones just to flood your body. You get goosebumps, you get this cool experience. So now we have the science of the cool experience. That if we align things just right, we can push the button of the cool experience, the goosebump experience, the experience where something deep inside under the hood gives a big sigh of relief and you've arrived. You've arrived at the oasis that you've been looking for, searching for. And retouching back that place opens up the doorways to all kinds of stuff that you weren't expecting. Your level of access to your creativity, access to new original ideas and concepts that have only come through you. New levels of understanding that's under the hood of how you live your life in the best possible way. That it also opens a doorway of me realizing that I'm here, that there's somebody looking out of my eyes, that I'm embedded in a networked system that I am part of.
Hmm.
That we've lost our indigenous self, our indigenous connection with nature and reality. We don't see the trees. We don't take our shoes and socks off and stand in the grass. On vacation, you go out and you see nature as something that you do for a week, or then you come back to the fray. But you don't realize that I had this experience in Virginia when I was in practice in Virginia. I was in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and the Skyline Drive is there. It's one of the longest parkways in the United States. It goes all the way from Virginia all the way down to Tennessee. It's a roadway. You get on that roadway and you can look out and you see these mountains going off in the distance, and the oxygen coming off all those trees is making this blue haze, the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Hmm.
And the deer don't even run away, standing on the side of the road as you drive by. At a certain point, I remember getting a grok of the whole absolute beauty of where I was. And I just had to pull over to the side of the road and take it in. So I'm standing there on the side of the road, taking it in, and had this crazy realization that, wow, the nature is not on the side of the road. The road is cut through. Nature's there first. The road is cut through. And I'm not standing on the side of the road. I'm standing in nature with the road cut through. I don't know how to explain how big that idea was. It was a big one.
Hmm.
And right on the heels of that was realizing that who I think I am is my road cut through my nature.
Hmm.
And instead of trying to get off of the road of my mind to stand on the side of the road so I can experience my true natural self, I have to reframe the whole thing and realize that my mind and my personality and all the stuff that I have acquired by being brought up in a certain civilization that dictates what reality is, right? It's jobs and it's governments and it's roads and it's this and it's that. In reality, that's the road.
Hmm.
And once I get that concept, then I realize that my house is the road cut through, and my yard and the trees around my yard. I'm in the middle of nature.
Hmm. Well, it's these deeper implications of this work are truly fascinating. I also want to make sure that we have time to give a little experiential taste. I know you're going to be leading us in a little bit of a experiment with sound, so we can get a feeling. You want to do that now?
Yeah, the soundtrack that I created for this is uh, using Tibetan bowls. So, I've got this one of the ancient technologies, that's been used for thousands of years of these metal bowls that you rub that does some kind of magic act to cut through the noise. But inside those bowls are a binaural beat. The bowls have a pulse, and the pulse is a brainwave speed. So these guys even knew that 3,000 years ago. And now we can take a bowl sound and rub it and record it and put it in a special keyboard that spreads that recording over all the keys. So now we can play a Tibetan bowl symphony. Or I can assign it to middle C and play C an octave lower, and I've got a bowl slowed down by half speed, so it's a bowl that's twice the diameter. Keep going, and you've got a 30-foot bowl played with a tree trunk. But that's what this recording is. It's bowls played in different speeds, so you can have melodies surrounded by 3D nature sounds that seem hyper real to the subconscious mind. And that's what we're going to experience. So it's
Mhm.
best to experience it through headphones because we have binaural beats that cause synchronicity of the hemispheres, which heightens the experience and fleshes out the 3D nature of the soundtrack. Um, so are we ready?
Let's do it. Hmm. You want to take us under the hood a little bit of what we're experiencing there?
So some of the low tones that you heard are really something when you're on a sound chair with headphones on. And that is moving in your cells in your body.
Hmm.
So I was approached in 1989, soon after I moved to California and opened up a big center for the sound work. Chief scientist at one of the departments of TRW who worked with JPL and NASA. They wanted me to help them research these recordings that came back from Voyager 1 and 2, space sounds, resonating ions of the planet's atmosphere and the solar wind interacting that creates vibrations in the ions between the range of human hearing. And he came with these recordings, and the first one I listened to sounded just like what we just heard. The rings of Uranus sound like giant Tibetan bowls.
Hmm.
It's almost exactly what we just heard. And Miranda sounds like these sort of electronic winds that resolve themselves into what sounds like breathy choirs of angels coming from flippant space. And from the smallest moon of Jupiter, Io, dolphins and whales and ocean and crickets and birds coming from space.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, to me,
So
it
the
was
principle is that there's kind of these universal patterns of entrainment that
there's
planets or animals entrain to.
there's universal sound patterns that coalesce at different dimensional sizes and speeds.
Hmm.
That if I take uh, people speaking and I speed it up enough, it sounds like birds chirping. And if I speed it up more, it sounds like crickets. And if I take cricket recordings and slow them down, they sound like birds. And birds slowed down sound like dolphins, and dolphins slowed down sound like people singing. And it becomes this sort of Jung's collective unconscious that is a fractalized repatterning of everything at different sizes and different dimensions and different speeds. It's all the same stuff. If I speed it up or slow it down, it's all the same stuff at different sizes and different speeds. The concept that we're, our galaxy is in a place that is so unimaginably large that we can't conceive of it. And we might just be some kind of proton in the nucleus of an atom of some cell in a gigantic being.
Mhm.
But it's all fractalized. It's a repetition that we see in patterns all over the place, in geometric patterns that make up the orchestration of the universe and the distance of the atomic shells of an atom are similar to the distances of the planets and their orbits around the sun. And
Wow.
it just becomes this thing that Pythagoras was all about, the mathematics and geometry of the universe and your body, macrocosm and microcosm, all pretty much based on all the same principles. Um,
Well, it is truly mind-blowing to talk to you. I mean, the way it synthesizes from the macro to the all the way down to the micro, and that there's this sort of harmonic resonance that draws us all together and harmonizes our system and can rewire our world. Really amazing stuff, Dr. Jeff. So let's talk about your upcoming training, which is an amazing opportunity to dive deep with you into some new terrain that you haven't been teaching yet for us, and we're very excited by this. So let's dive in and share a little bit about that. So Dr. Jeff has agreed to teach this brand new training for Shift. It's called Quantum Acoustics and the Architecture of Reality. Harness sound and resonance to support health, expand consciousness, and transform your experience of life. This is teaching at an advanced level, but if you're a committed student, you are welcome to join. And it's a serious deep dive into the architecture of reality, how sound and interplays with all levels of our biology and our consciousness, and really gives us firsthand insight into not only the science, but some of the groundbreaking applications. So, Dr. Jeff, I'd love for you to share in your own words about what you intend for people to come away from this training with, and then let's go through at least the big chunks of the curriculum so that people can get
Okay.
a sense. It's a 20-week training, by the way.
I just finished the 7 week course, which is sort of in 7 weeks, all you can really do is fly above the landscape and point out the mountain peaks of the cool stuff. Um, but with 20 weeks, you can land on the ground and start really looking at how these things connect together, um, and how the connection of these things together is deeply involving each one of us, that we are in the center of this connection. If the universe is infinitely large, is infinitely large outward and is infinitely large down towards the Planck level, right? If it's infinite in both directions, it means that you and me are always smack dab in the middle because it's infinitely large this way and infinitely small that way. I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle of everything. It's all reflected most perfectly in me. Why we look at the body as being the textbook of universal law.
Hmm.
And a foundation aspect of the universe is the interaction of the two grand forces, light and sound, phonons and photons, and how they interact. And the bridge point of where they react most perfectly is this body. Our consciousness arises at that fundamental bridge point where we have access to all the secrets and all the diagrams and all the fractals if we can get to the right place in ourselves to find it.
Hmm. Amazing. So again, this training, you can find it at quantumacousticstraining.com. I'll just kind of read out the larger phases of the training here and some of the modules, and then you can give us the broad overview. So phase one is 4 modules long. It's called the nature of vibration. It includes module one, experience sound as field behavior to transform how you perceive reality. Module two, experience zero-point reality to transform how you experience rest. Module 3, discover universal harmonics to bring your mind, body, and spirit into greater harmony. And Module 4, harness resonance and coherence to support greater balance and well-being. So that's all under nature of vibration. You want to share more about that phase?
It's a mouthful. But but the foundation of why the ancients used sound as a el primo way of accessing reality and changing consciousness and healing is based on the basic fabric of how reality is put together, where vibration and sound is the core, and patterns and resonance and harmonics that spin from that coalesce into physical form and emotional form and mental form as harmonics of fundamental frequencies. Um, there's an interesting thing that happens when you begin to understand how things are put together. Understanding brings some kind of new type of opening that you didn't have before that allows the information to take root so that you don't need the information anymore. It's in there. You've dumped the information in, you've coalesced it into the network, and now you've got some basis of a new level of functioning and understanding in the universe of which you are a part. And for some reason, sound is the big one. It's the one that's always been used. It's physical. You can feel it. It's rhythmic, and everything is rhythmic. So when we start talking about quantum fields and behavior coalescing into atoms, coalescing into cells and people, um, and we get the information in such a way that it gels, then something new happens as an experience. So in one aspect, I'm using experiential information to um, grow a network system in consciousness that can get a glimpse that is not information in the brain of how it all fits together.
Hmm.
As soon as I get a gut level experience of how it fits together, I have an opening to have a true experience of myself existing.
Powerful. So then we go into phase two, life as resonance, which includes four modules. Module five, explore quantum biology to separate scientific discovery from speculation. Module six, experience your body as a vibrational system to support greater health and vitality. Module seven, discover how sound influences your cells to deepen your understanding of healing. And module eight, regulate your nervous system with sound to build greater resilience. More on phase two.
So the first experience we all have is a sound experience. 16 to 24 weeks, the brain develops to a point where all five senses come online for the first time. So the first experience I have is sound and vibration because I'm in the dark, so my eyes aren't working, my nose and mouth are filled with fluid. So our whole experience for the in the womb is a vibrational sound experience, sound amplified through the water. So it's no wonder that sound is a perfect tool for digging to the deepest part of my subconscious experience because it's the first thing I ever experienced when I had a clean slate. Um, so when we start to understand this concept of my body and all the systems in it are a vibrational network that extends right down into the quantum field, and that there are techniques that I can use to connect my consciousness there. Um, and the techniques that have been used have been sound techniques. And then we begin to understand how the quantum field works and how it works in my physical body and how that works in my consciousness. Then I can connect the dots to make something happen as experience for me.
It's really fascinating. And then we go into phase three, the nervous system as an instrument. Module nine is on optimize your brainwave states to support focus, creativity, and deep restoration. Module 10, understand brainwave entrainment to listen with greater confidence. Module 11, cultivate whole brain integration to expand awareness and mental clarity. And module 12, calm your default mode network to experience greater presence and inner stillness. So more on phase three.
Well, there's an interesting thing about the fact that um, consciousness itself is closely related to rhythmic discharges of electrical impulses from the neurons in my brain. The concept of brain waves. We've got neurons firing in synchronicity with each other that form the next neurons to fire and the next ones to fire. So we have sweeping depolarizations in waves of depolarization called brain waves. And something about the fact of how many waves per second is closely associated with different states of consciousness, right? Beta from 13 firings per second up to 38. Theta, where we go in dreaming sleep, is somewhere between 7 or 8 down to about 4. The default mode network back in 2001 was discovered using fMRI studies of somebody's brain. They discovered the slowest brainwave ever discovered. One brain pulse every 10 to 20 seconds. And it turns out that this pulsing was coming from 4 zones in your brain that are tightly linked together and synchronized that form my sense of self. My sense of self on the inside of my skin, my sense of self on the outside of my skin. I synchronize those two together. I get my normal sense of the envelope of me in space here. These two are my sense of time, past up to the present, present into the future, synchronize those up together. I get my ordinary sense of now. So now I'm getting my sense of here and now. And if those become unsynchronized, It's every neurological condition you've ever heard of. ADD, ADHD, dyslexia, autism, Parkinson's, epilepsy, depression, PTSD, all of those have to do with desynchronizing. But new research came out that showed people in extremely high states of meditation, where they had descriptions of cosmic consciousness, was associated with hyper synchronizing of those four zones. So think about it for a minute. If I get my sense, my ordinary sense of me here, inside my skin versus outside my skin, and that boundary starts to become hyper synchronized, where the boundary starts to bleed off into each other and becomes indistinct, then pretty soon my sense of who I am on the inside of my skin becomes universally large. And my sense of time is the present moment expanding into all past and future events. That sounds like a pretty cool state of consciousness I might go to. But modern technology with brainwave entrainment with headphones causes synchronicity. So now we can have headphones with binaural beats synchronizing these two zones of the default mode network. And our 3D technology allows us to take two other binaural beats and rotate them in three-dimensional space virtually and place binaural beats on the front and back and set ourselves up for a cosmic consciousness experience by hyper synchronizing the four zones. This is kind of where the future of all this stuff is going. I mean,
Yeah.
the possibilities of our understanding of quantum fields, brainwaves, brainwave entrainment, states of consciousness now fractally linked together is pointing us towards the possibility of a new science that's very precise and accurate of consciousness expansion.
Super exciting. Then we go into phase four, applied resonance and healing systems, which has four modules also. Module 13, discover your body's natural balance through heart rate variability. Module 14, experience vibroacoustic stimulation to deepen mind-body regulation. Module 15, design personalized sound protocols to support lasting transformation. And module 16, apply sound science for health, healing, and everyday well-being.
Yeah, so here we're taking the information that we have been building up in the first three modules about the nature of reality and the quantum fields and how it sediments into Newtonian universe and our body and how the nervous system and the body is set up, how brainwaves are set up, how consciousness is set up. And we're building a practical application of how we can use some of the most cutting edge modern technologies to tune the system. So we can hook you up to very sophisticated brain mapping EEG systems. Some of those systems, pared down versions, are available on the market that you can buy, monitoring your EEG response. Most of them are biofeedback, but we need to look at what the brainwaves are doing in the presence of sound and entrainment, and we can do that with a commercially available device. We can use advanced systems of heart rate variability that we devised, this real-time heart rate variability idea, to get a real-time view of the master control system that tells all systems in your body what to do, the autonomic nervous system. We can see it on a screen, and we can tune it with sound waves and watch it respond.
Hmm.
And now we know that there's a link between what happens with the ultimate balance in the autonomic nervous system and octaves of that as brainwave states of consciousness. And that's linking brainwaves, heart waves, and autonomic control systems in one big giant unit, where we see how all those connections work together. And once we see that, it just lends itself to new discoveries where it gets bigger and deeper. When we add another system like the what's called the vibration sense network, largest sense you've got in your skin, trillions of sensors that sense different bandwidths of vibration,
Hmm.
0.3 to 500 hertz. That's what a sound chair is made to deliver into your body. So now you're feeling it in your cells. And since the chair is divided, you've got binaural beats that cause synchronicity of the neurons for vibrational sense in your brainstem synchronizing. So now we have synchronizing of the hemispheres, synchronizing of brainstem elements. They're synchronizing this way by the same information processing, and the body is flooding the system with uh, reward neurochemistry because we just help the body in a multi-dimensional synchronization event where it gets more bang for the buck and obeys rule number two in stars and fireworks.
So cool. I mean, yeah, each of these phases is amazing. And so let's finally just cover a little bit of phase five, consciousness and reality engineering, really going to the deepest levels. Module 17, explore models of consciousness to expand your understanding of mind and reality. Module 18, transform your perception to experience reality in new ways. Module 19, experience collective coherence to deepen human connections. And finally, Module 20, integrate the science of sound to create your personalized sound healing practice.
Yeah, I mean, where all of this goes ultimately is how do I change my world, my experience? Um, and there's plenty of answers for that in all kinds of different cultures. And now we've got the 21st century with all this high-tech equipment, and we can push the envelope like we had just discussed before, where you have a group of people sitting in a circle holding hands, and you've got a modem connection electromagnetically between their palms, conductivity of theirs, and the nervous systems and brainwaves all start to sync up together. If you had that group with headphones on listening to a soundtrack with brain entrainment, you would have everybody's brainwaves synced exactly to the same state of consciousness. Now you're using science to accentuate a possibility of creating a new group mind link to open up higher dimensions of doorways of information and influence of reality itself.
Hmm.
And there's a personal level of how I access, how I change my reality. And then there's groups of people coming together with scientific engineering to open up higher levels of dimensions of doorways to change the world that we live in. If you know, the other thing is that, of course, we've all, Carl Jung said it best, whatever you don't handle on the inside, you project it outside as real world experiences to work it out there. When I look at the state of where the world is at right now, and I think to myself, um, if this is a projection of the collective mind, what's wrong with us?
There definitely needs to be some harmonization of the larger
Where did
consciousness.
this reality come from? Why? And this reality comes from when you're asleep at the wheel.
Yeah.
That that if you're asleep at the wheel collectively, and you've lost the cohesion that used to exist in the tribe. There were elders, there were systems. Everybody knew each other. There was a harmony and a cohesiveness and an understanding of our place in the web of nature and life that we sort of lost contact with. And if there's not some general thing that's pushing society to better itself, and you're asleep at the wheel, then entropy takes over. And if you're asleep at the wheel, the car's going to run into a ditch. And here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
And we're in the ditch and we wake up and go, how can we get out of this ditch? These are the tools for getting out of the ditch.
Yeah. Well, I can really see in talking to you just how powerful these tools can be for shifting our whole world. So from the personal to the collective. So I'll share a little bit more about it. So that was an overview of the five phases and 20 modules. There's more detail at quantumacoustics.training.com. A few other things about this. So if you choose to move forward, you'll get the 20 90-minute live sessions with Dr. Jeff, which includes interactive practices, Q&A time. You'll have recordings of every session, both video and audio, which are super helpful to go back and learn from again. You also get word for word transcripts, weekly practices for home, and there's a community group to support you and deepen your experience and really make allies around the world who are committed to this work. You also see on the page there are a number of bonuses that Dr. Jeff has been very generous in adding. There's an audio on the 11th harmonic, entering the threshold between sound and consciousness. I'll just let it be explained on the page there since we're running a little low on time here. And then there's a second bonus called Psychosensory Integration number 5, a sonic journey into inner coherence. And then there's one final bonus, which is our special bonus that you get if you sign up by midnight tonight Pacific time. This is an audio from Dr. Jeff called Delta Sleep System 3.0, transform sleep into renewal. You want to share more about today's special bonus?
The last one, the
Yes.
Delta.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the Delta 1.0 became one of the most successful soundtracks I ever made. Um, I created it to put my son to sleep when he was 6 months old, and it was super effective. Then it became 2.0 as I learned more, and 3.0 is so far the most advanced sleep track that I've created so far, based on new research findings that have come out about how sleep works and how the brain works.
Mm.
So uh,
And delta is the deepest domain of sleep, so the most restorative.
it's where your brain waves are the slowest, and things happen there. It's physical recuperation, but there is a every single brainwave has more than one function. For instance, uh, delta has a deep sleep function for recuperating the physical body on various levels.
Mhm.
But if you listen to that soundtrack as a meditation soundtrack, your body position is now different. When you're laying down in your bed with the covers on, the lights out, your body is going, oh, this is the sleep program. So alpha means something different. It's a healing program, and theta is a healing program for emotions, and delta is a healing program for the physical body. But when you're sitting in meditation with alpha, that's Zen meditation. When you're sitting with theta, that's shamanic journeying. And when you're sitting with delta, that's the bliss void state.
Hmm.
It's a no mind state
Beautiful.
that time disappears. Uh,
That's a great extra bonus. So you really get the deepest, most restorative sleep. So again, that's the Delta Sleep System 3.0 bonus that you get today. So this is a very in-depth, deep dive training. It's professional caliber. It's advanced. It's open to those who are committed, who are coming in at a more entry level. We've kept the investment very appropriate to that level. It's 5 payments of $395, or you can save about 10% when you pay in full with one payment of $17.99. The training is going to start on September 14th and run Mondays at 11 Pacific, 2 Eastern. But even if you can't make the live times, you can still get the full value with the recordings, the transcripts in the community as well. There's some great testimonials on the page from graduates of Dr. Jeff's previous courses of the Shift Network. He's been very beloved as a teacher and is really at the frontiers. So if you're looking for the leading edge information and applications in your life, the life of clients or people that you work with, you are in the right place. And this is the training. So again, it's all at quantumacousticstraining.com, and you'll get that Delta Sleep System 3.0 if you sign up by midnight tonight. So, Dr. Jeff, another mind-blown hour. Thank you for opening the paradigm of what's possible yet again. Anything that's still on your heart you want to share with folks who are considering doing the full quantum acoustics training with you?
well, first of all, I kudos to you, Stephen, for putting this kind of possibility together. So thanks for you and the Shift Network for giving this opportunity. I think there's what's in the air now in the 21st century is a yearning for a grounded scientific explanation of the esoteric, of the I want to know the connections in a real world scientific way of what previously has been um, preaching to believers who don't necessarily need the connections to be made. But there's something new afoot that if I can see the scientific connections that back up how the quantum field connects to my consciousness and healing and my place in the world and how the world itself could be the world that we all want together and the step-by-step mechanisms of how you could achieve that. I think that's the movement that's afoot that people are
Mm.
looking for. And those answers are out there. And that's pretty much what I'm trying to put together here is a network connection that touches all the bases and explains what they are and how they fit together and your place in that and your consciousness place in that and how you can shift reality and shift your health and shift uh, what's going on in your life. If it
You
doesn't have a practical application, then so what, right? You really, I mean, it's spiritually, what did you do today uh, to be more awake? What did you all of a sudden come to yourself when you're washing a dish and go, "Oh wow, I'm here. There's
Mhm.
just me in the dish." It's the chop wood carry water moment. But there's a science of that moment and how you get there. And the ancients have used sound as one of the primary devices to center yourself in that understanding. So all of this is geared towards a practical application of how I can change my life and how I can understand what this is all about. That's what it's all about. That's what it's always been about for me, and
Yeah.
that's put these together to share what I've discovered.
Well, thank you for your pioneering and for putting these pieces together to help us understand the fabric of the universe and how to orient in a way that uplifts us, that deepens us, that brings us into a harmonized state for personally and planetarily. So thank you, Dr. Jeff, for this hour, and thank you all for joining. And look forward to seeing many of you in Dr. Jeff's upcoming training at the Leading Edge. Again, at quantumacousticstraining.com, and you'll get that special Delta Sleep System 3.0 when you sign up by midnight tonight. So thank you so much.
Thank you.